Morning, everybody. Morning around the world. Jacob Cruz with Expeditionary Veterans Association here in San Diego, California. So, my previous videos, I did an exciting review in the first one. I guess it was my happy video that I got the new Stache 8. The second video was basically my first impressions of the bike. It's still the same, but now I have a better input of this vehicle, or sorry, the bike, the Trek Full-Stache 8. So I've done 3 major rides. The last one being Noble Canyon over in Pine Valley, California. Noble Canyon is a very fast enduro DH trail. It was what was needed to definitely break in this the bike. So now I know what I needed to know about this bike. Still love the bike. So previously there's other people who review this bike, and they're pretty key on certain aspects of this bike, and one being how loose the rear suspension, or rear fork, I guess you call it, was, and it's pretty legit. It is loose. It's gonna cause a lot of them were switching out rims, which for better control, and I see why. There is a little play in the back, and that's primarily due to the rims not being sturdy enough and strong enough. So that's one big aspect of that bike I'm going to change. I'm just waiting for money to buy new rims, wider rims, probably a 50 outer and like a 46 or 47 inner, which should do carbon fiber setup. So that's lastly. I did change the pedals out, went with Crank Brothers. Shit's sticky. Did change the handlebar setup, still the same length. I didn't like how the Bontrager Pro lines that came with the bike were, I guess, too flat. So I upgraded to Renthals, Renthal 35s, same length. I think they're 750, but the rise was a lot bigger, or higher, shall I say. More control, lighter front end, and then also, if you do get that bike, or this bike, main thing is to take the tubes out. It's a tubeless setup from the get-go. The rims are tubeless capable, or tubeless ready, and first ride sucked because they didn't take out the tubes, and I didn't realize it. So I probably lost about 2 pounds off taking those big ass freaking tubes out of the tires. So finally went tubeless. That was the first change out. The XR4s that come with it, super grippy, and I can compare it to like an enduro downhill tire, because they grip very well. I was eating everything in my freaking path. It was just ridiculous. The roll on it has a good roll to it. It's not sticky, but it does have a good roll to it, because the outside thread, they grip very well. So I'm not an aggressive rider. I like cruising on the bike. I like speed. I'm not an aggressive rider, period. So it's not my type of tire for what I do out here in San Diego and elsewhere. So I did change the full setup to the XR2s, which there's Bontrager's new tires. So I went from the XR4s to the XR2s just for the rolling resistance. I'm gonna ride it for a season. I've already ridden it this past weekend, and they roll fast. They grip when they need to. If you're not an aggressive rider and just looking for the more all mountain cross country setup, the XR2s are great for those guys who just want to bomb and just do some crazy shit and hug the trail like they're freaking Red Bull Rampage kind of riders. And the XR4s are really good. They're compared to the Maxxis, what's it, DHFs and DHRs setup, how grippy they are. That's just me. So I'm gonna ride them for the rest of this year, and then I'll Probably, most likely, change it out at the end of the year, the front to the XR4, since it's going to be winter and I need more grip for the winter time. So I'm going to do that swap out to the XR4s in the back and the XR2s or XR4s in the front and the XR2s in the rear. Did I say that right? Yeah. So tires, yes, you got the review on the tires, the wiggly in the back, and what else? What else can I say? Overall, that bike is well worth the money. I know it comes off at $3,700. Depends where you're at. I got a good deal with it through my local Trek dealer, so I'm not complaining for what I paid for it. Yeah, it was good. The bike is everything that I expected. The suspension tuning was perfect. Running the Fox in the rear and the RockShot Pike in the front. So I weigh 250 on a good day. 250, 260. Depends. The weather. Big guys. Okay, so for you big guys, I'm running 20 psi on it right now. Probably can go less, but I don't want to have a burp and screw up the rim and the tire and then have to change it out. So I'm running 20 psi on the XR2s. Fair amount of grip, rolling really fast. The overall, I guess you would say, control of the bike is very well. Trek did a very good job building that bike. Like I said, I originally said I started with the 29er hardtail and love my full suspension and everything that I wanted. I didn't want to get a fat tire bike, but I know there was plus tires. So the whole combination of having a 29er plus with running 3.0 tires and full suspension, be that as may as 130 around, is technically 140 because you got that cush on that front side, and be able to lock out on the rear to make climbs. It's perfect setup, and it does fucking climb. If there's an obstacle, this bike climbs, and I hate climbing any obstacle, period. But this bike climbs like a fucking goat, and the descends like it's a 27.5. And when I did Noble Canyon this past weekend, or like 2 weekends ago, I PR'd like 7 different sections, which I don't bomb anything. Like if I bomb something, I'm usually taking my time, and I PR'd minutes off of certain sections just cause how that setup was and the overall geometry of this bike. I know it's 130, and usually 120, 130 is a more, I guess you would say, higher end XC all mountain setup. But this bike, the way the geometry is, you're sitting like it's an XC bike. I'm sure you guys who ride XC know what I'm talking about. Where the pedal control, the downward force, how your body's position is more of an XC setup. But as soon as you get ready to bomb a trail, the geometry of that bike, your ass can go as far back as you want, and it feels like you're in an enduro bike, like you're sitting at a 160, because it's just so hard to explain if you haven't ridden this bike yet. It's high. It's at a high point where the bars are at, and which you want when you're going downhill. You want that front high control, and your ass back, which me personally felt like when you drop your ass back to get ready to start bombing down hills, it felt like a downhill bike setup, because you know how downhill bikes have no ass at all, and everything sits like that, okay, and you just like max control. That's how I felt. So I felt real comfortable. There is a small point on this bike where I'm still trying to adjust where the seat position is. Granted, the geometry is perfect. You got the XC feel for climbing and the downhill feel for bombing the hills. Your seat, I guess, is based on what kind of seat you have. It's going to take a little bit more adjustments, but I switched out the seats to Ergon SMR Pro, something like that. There's not a lot of it's just hard to say where your ass goes. So there's a little part of you that feels like you're a little bit too far forward when you're climbing or on a flat. so I kind of just adjusted to just moving my ass back, because you can't move the seat any further forward than what it is already. So I guess it's just your body and just figuring it out. But the overall ride was perfect. So enough of the spills. For anybody who's gonna go out and get this bike, see if you can get a demo and try to hit the more harder trails that you are used to, in order to get a perfect review of this bike. Because if you're gonna hit the minor small trails, you're not gonna see the full suspension of this bike. And like I said, I didn't realize it until I hit Noble Canyon, and it was everything that I thought it would be, if not more of the expectation of what I spent the money for. So go out, rent it, test ride it, and ultimately I can almost guarantee you guys are going to enjoy this bike, because it has everything. If I end up finding anything more pro or con about it, I will post another YouTube video. If you have any questions, post it at the bottom and I'll try my best to answer. I have another ride coming up this weekend, and place called Santa's Village, Sky Park at Santa's Village over in Riverside, and I'm going to bring that bike to see how it does. They have a green diamond to a double black diamond trail. It's a little bike park, so I'm going to bring that bike out there to even see how far I can go with it. So I will do another video review after I do that. Alright guys, hopefully this novice review helped you guys a little bit more than what the pro riders usually talk about, you know, because I don't race, I don't do anything, I'm just a novice rider, intermediate. So yeah, post up and I'll answer any questions you may have. Alright guys, talk to you later. Peace. Chew.